Welcome to the Virgo channel. My name is Laura, and I'm going to do a general message for you all. Know that energy is fluid, so roles could be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates for you. All right, let me move over. It's been a long day. Don't look at the appearance. Okay. Let's see. Now, if you're new to the channel, anytime you want to enter into winning a free psychic reading with me, the directions will be right there in the description box. All right. Well, so today it will be, if you listen to the channel and listen to the video and you resonate with it, you'll have to just like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write the word in your comment bar. The word of the day will be intrusive. You'll know of someone that's intrusive. All right, now see what your person is thinking of you, but I would like to get an essence of your energy first. Your energy might come up as what character traits are the most that either are your strengths or your shadows. Just to get an essence of who you are. Diplomatic. So you're someone that is very well respected, someone that also is thinking a lot about their future and wants to do things in a very proper way. Is what I'm feeling, Virgo, which is like for all Virgos, right? I mean, Virgos are just known to want to always do the right thing. We happen to be, we could be the squeaky wheel because Virgos are highly sensitive most of the time, and they're very intuitive, but they're also analytical. So they're very smart because they use both parts of their brain. They use the intuitive and they use the logical mind. But they cannot be seen as being funny. However, there's many Virgos that are very funny. We're just sarcastic. We're witty. There's different types of funny. So you have to be intelligent to understand our humor sometimes. Omniscience. There's a sense, again, there's a healer in you. You feel also, as being a highly sensitive person, that you connect very well with other people. So you may be in the healing arts. You may be someone that you work with the public, is what I'm feeling. You could be, again, even work online and work with the public and maybe do speaking or educating of some sort. Okay, narrow-minded. And so even though you're connected, your views are pretty much, I don't want to say opinionated because it's like, I just think that your beliefs, you're true to yourself, you're true to your beliefs, but almost to a rigid point. So again, which is narrow-minded. I always just like to get the spiritual energy about who you are first. And because again, diplomacy also talks about, like, again, seeing things in the future and also on a whole when we're talking omniscience. And this could also be warning us to not be narrow-minded about your vision, about how you're going about your soul's purpose, right? Again, so we could go and take it a little bit deeper because we, again, just want to know about your spiritual energy. So if we're talking too, we could be worried about your future and wanting to make sure that you stay balanced. And again, maybe you have narrow-minded opinions about someone around you. So again, these are just the spiritual energies. Now, if you're attached to a person, I want to know what the hidden truths are about them. I want to know what they're planning on doing and all that great stuff, and where they are, what they feel, a little bit of the storyline. Still, I'm going to take it from my deck, my homemade deck. It's a lot. But, you know, when looking at the storyline, that's what you want, right? You want to know what's going on. All right, let's see. I am transforming without control, and it scares me. So you play a person's in a place of awakening. I feel like they're in a place of, I am focused on myself right now because I need healing. So again, they're in a place of healing. I depended on you too much to let you go. And though I feel like a lot of you guys may be separated, they were still emotionally connected to you. They still are very much emotionally connected to you. So they are healing. And external bachelor, and like again eternal bachelor. So again, what they needed a healing from was wanting to be that eternal bachelor or bachelorette. Would you still want me after all of this? Miracles happen. So they're pretty much right now in a place of healing. They're awakening, and I'm kind of feeling it's because a lot of the things that they've just outgrown. They've outgrown the job that they've been in, the environment, the person who they used to be. And unfortunately, a lot of times, like we see tower moments before a person transforms, that a lot of things fall apart in which is what I'm feeling within this person that you're connected to. A lot of things, like their life just falling apart because it was no longer serving them. So they were almost going through life sleepwalking for a long time and not really paying attention and letting other people do it and living from a very emotional standpoint. And that emotional standpoint is their addictions. They're, being very self-indulgent. So maybe drinking a lot, eating a lot, like being with a lot of different people. Again, that eternal bachelor. So they didn't really want to have a serious relationship. That's not what they were looking for. And possibly because, again, they were living from this lower state of consciousness. And that lower state of consciousness is, again, living from their addictions, living from their ego, living for, again, self-gratification. See, we all need a spiritual purpose, why we show up, right? Again, like what makes us strong is not creating a strong environment, is creating that we're strong. And how a person gets strong is through their unique individuality, through their passion, through why they, again, show up. That's a lot of people consider it a job. Some people consider it, a hobby. It can't be another person. It has to be, something that you're passionate about, like something that means something to you, something that's connected to the heart, but it can't be a person. And so the thing is, with external bachelor, or bachelorette, we know that everything was just about the external, which is why I keep saying the eternal as external, because it's that person living from a very low state of consciousness. They're not caring about anyone except for themselves. And so part of their healing is looking at their hobbies, looking at their hobbies. What am I talking about? Yeah, looking at their hobbies, because their hobbies were, drinking, like maybe dating a lot of different people, just living from a very indulgent standpoint on every single level. So if they did drugs, they were really doing them. If they were partying a lot, with drinking and women or men or both, then understand this is what was happening. They were very, like, again, focused on that, and what they're real, and that's why their life fell apart. You can see that, and that's why they're healing right now. But what they're seeing is that they still have feelings for you, because they're like, they wouldn't be asking, would you want me after all this time, if they didn't have any feelings. So I feel terrible for hurting you. Our story isn't over yet. So this is where they're feeling, again, they're in a place of remorse. A lot of times when a person transforms, again, they are transforming because they are looking at the things that they've done. And that actually is confirming, all these cards are confirming the story. And this is, will you give me a second chance? That was stuck to the last card of these cards that I picked up. So I was like, let me just grab it from the bottom. It was stuck to the table face down. Let's just see what it has to say. And it fits into the story, which is, will you give me a second chance? Our story isn't over. I feel terrible about hurting you. I'm done playing games. I mean, it's a pretty much self-explanatory story right here. Like, I mean, it couldn't possibly flow any better. Like, I mean, okay, another deck, just because. But because it's so good, we're going to look at the wounds. We're going to look at the wounds because it's like, okay, this person has learned, but did they get to the root? Did they get to the soul wound? We don't know yet. We have to look at the wounds, and we have to look at the triggers, and we have to look and see how that plays out, because it doesn't mean that this person, okay, they've learned, they've realized, they're going through this awakening. They realize that you're important to them because, again, they're saying, I'm done playing games. Our story isn't over yet. Like, again, would you even give me a second chance? Miracles happen. Like, even though, like, this relationship, I pretty much acted like an ass because I treated you horribly. Would you still even give me a second chance? I think that they think that you would, because they can feel that soul connection, that bond. And I don't think they, realized that you were important at all. So there's a sense of that. I pushed you away because I was scared to commit to a real relationship. Again, but this person, like you said, and that's a different deck. So we can see how that, like, the person is, like, remorseful. They're thinking about what they did. So now, like I said, because the story is pretty much self-explanatory, I want to look at the wounds because, right, it just makes sense. It's like, this could be great, where you're like, oh, let's see what your hidden truth is about them really fast. Because I don't know whether you would take them back. I'm sure for some, yes, some no, but let's see in the story. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Sometimes I stay awake thinking about you. So again, this tells me it's a soul's connection. You both were very affected by it. For different reasons. I feel like they betrayed you, so that you're hurt because of the way that they've treated you. And I think that they're hurt and, like, they're mortified at how they treated you, and they are, like, not happy with their life because, again, they're in the midst of a transformation. And unfortunately, the beginning of a transformation happens because everywhere in our life, things aren't working. And so in order to make new, You have to have a tower moment. Tower collapses, everything goes kapoosh, and what was real remains the same. And what your person sees is their feelings for you remain the same. They feel sorry for what they've done. So they're going through this transformation, and I believe you were part of that transformation because they're looking and they're saying, I don't really like, the way that I've treated you. I'm embarrassed. But, like, even though they did all this, I feel like you still do have feelings. And I also feel like they stay awake thinking about you. So there's that soul tie right there. And then I want to tell you how I feel. So if that's you, there's a sense of you do want to tell them how you feel about their experiences, about what they've done and how that made you feel. But I think you also want to tell them how you feel about them. Like you don't want to do it you want to do it in a very balanced way, like where you want to get your point across that this was not acceptable because that pains you and you would be afraid that it would happen again. However, I'm feeling as if you would, again, just want to tell them how you feel, like that you understand, that you have empathy for them. I wish I could share my good news with you. So it's again that like there is a sense very strong soul tie there because when I asked about you, you're still like, again, you're still there. Your energy is still connected to theirs. So again, that's great so that both parties are into it. However, we want to look at the soul wounds. We want to look at the triggers because karmic cycles are the same karmic theme that plays out. So without soul integration, there's going to be a lot of triggering. There's going to be a lot of behaviorisms that can sabotage this connection. So this is why we want to do that. The soul wounds. Let's see. Self-righteous. Judging others harshly, never admitting you're wrong. Put yourself in their place. So I feel Virgo, like one of their wounds is to feel, again, get triggered by the fact that they're made to feel they don't like who they are. They're going through a tower moment again. They were living from false whatever. So understand they have an ego. So when you're around them and think they don't do the right thing and you clearly know that they haven't done the right thing, they know that they haven't done the right thing, you don't need to keep like up on it, like pointing it out because they see it as judging. Um, like they feel like you're harsh, like the things, the way that you come across, the way that you articulate. And I know that what you're probably saying, like, well, they shouldn't do, what they do to like piss me off. But the truth of the matter is that when we're looking at things from a spiritual perspective, we're talking about through the level of unconditional love. The universe's energy is unconditional love. God is the same energy as the universe, and it's unconditional love. You have the universe inside of you, you have spirit inside of you, which means that you have God inside of you. And that energy is supposed to be of unconditional love, which is I like, but I have no prejudice. I have no, it's again, I only want the best. When we have wounds, it's understand the wound part of ourselves is where we've detached from. And so if your person doesn't feel good, you're going to have to come across softer because again they're wounded. So when you're deal with someone that's wounded, let's just say someone's arm was cut off, you're going to sit there and yank on the arm, like, come on, like, you got to go to the hospital. No, you're not going to do that because it's going to make the wound get triggered. You're going to get angry. It's going to be triggered. So self-righteousness, And we'll look and see what this person does to you too. So don't worry, because again, everybody has triggers, and soul relationships are all about that. And what we see here is this is a divine connection. So they're going to piss you off a lot because there's a lot of passion, a lot of fire, a lot of ice. That is what um, twin flame is all about. It's about opposites that think differently, act differently, approach life differently. So just in that, they can trigger each other because it's like you're not doing things the way that I want you to do them. You shouldn't know what I think, how I think, when I think. Defensive. So it's again like not being open, not communication problems is really what I'm feeling. And this person also could be that way too, where I feel like defensive, like where they're defensive, rather I feel like you can be defensive, like you both are mirroring each other. The self-righteousness I feel like is more you in context to them doing something wrong. Yes, they did something wrong because they're not perfect and they're not coming from the highest vibration. So they're not coming from their truth. They're coming from, what they perceive they should be. And sometimes when we're so busy trying to perceive how we should be, we're not in the moment, we're not in the now, so we don't think. We're more in a place of survival, believe it or not. And survival just because we don't like who we are, just because it feels uncomfortable to be in our own skin. So, which is the energy that this person has. And trauma does that. We go through experiences. Oh, there goes that deck. I'm not using it anymore. I guess that's what Spirit says. There's enough of that deck. Look at the triggers. We don't need to look at any more of their wounds. I'll have to pick it up for yours, though. All right. So let's see what the triggers are, how they play out. Expectations. I felt disappointed and angry because my expectations were not met. So again, in their self, when you are mean, they're perceiving you as perfect because Virgos have a way of coming across perfect. They're very detail oriented. They make things like they're very good in business and they know how to be very homely, right? Like not homely as in ugly, but like as in making a nice house, is what I'm trying to get at. So when, could you imagine? But like, so they had expectations that you were perfect. And if you're going to go like judging them, they're going to be defensive, then there's going to be intimacy issues. Intimacy issues manifest as trust issues, is what Spirit is trying to get at. And the expectation then goes, there's a sense of you're not perfect, you didn't fix me. So again, they are looking at you as if you're like, oh, like almost, and they're looking at themselves as if they're broken. And so neither is accurate. So we're seeing that this is a second chakra imbalance. The second chakra is all about one's individuality, how somebody feels about themselves, and whether they can go with the flow of life. If we're again in our head, we're not going with the flow of life, we're going through our own whatever that is, which is why they would be defensive of always taking things the wrong way, like no matter what you say. And then if you say, and then you're saying it, and then you're not saying it in a nice way, then they seem as if you're being self-righteous. And then sometimes if they're approaching you, they feel like you're defensive. Like again, there's that mirroring energy. So that goes against their entire expectation that this was perfect. Now there is no perfect. But the soulmate twin flame relationship, why there is a lot of times a runner and a chaser, is because the perceptions change. I feel like in the beginning, your person didn't give you enough time to know what they wanted. They were a player, they were a bachelor. And so they again still don't know who you are. So that would still be a problem because they went from bachelor to realizing I want to be in a relationship. However, this would still be there. So that would be one way that it would definitely have to be careful that it doesn't play out. Again, karmic cycles did not heal the root. Friendship, not you on a rescue mission, Virgo. to heal this person, because the person's not giving you enough time, not giving you enough emotion, not giving you what you need, which would create a trigger and a wound within inside of you, right? I mean, let's face it, hobby, the amount of attention and money that you would spend on like your hobbies, like, because if you would avoid, like, instead of confronting this person, like, you would there again, there would be false expectations. You'd feel like you were walking on eggshells if you didn't do it over time, or you'd feel like you have to do something to fix this person. So you would spend a lot of time like away from this person. And you might also feel like what triggers you about this person is that they have a lot of hobbies, that they're not giving you emotionally, is what I'm feeling. So there's a sense of, I'm not getting what I need. So that would be one of your triggers. And that would trigger abandonment if we really think about it. Because if someone's emotionally not showing up, and then your expectation of them being perfect and being there for you goes out the window, because it's like, you don't show up for me enough. I had enough of your bad temper and disrespect. So it's again, I feel like when they get mad, they don't know how to articulate. So they say things that they don't really mean. I feel like there's a little bit of mirroring energy there as well, which twin flame soulmates, they do that. It's because, again, they will have that mirroring energy with. So there's like a little bit of maybe one has more energy than the other, but it doesn't matter. In spiritual realm, there's only two energies: love and fear. So we can say, well, that person only has a little bit and this person has a lot. Doesn't matter. It's again, spiritual karmic lessons, they play out. And hopefully, if you only have a little, you're able to recognize whatever the behaviorism is, whatever it is the trigger, in order to recondition that pattern, or again, to do a different action that's going to help you recondition that pattern. So that's something that's important. Now, let me just grab the deck that fell. There was only 3 cards that fell. Let me pick them up. It never fails. Never fails. I need a bigger table. Okay. So I wanted to really look and see. Flighty. Like you would want to give up too soon. Like flighty. Which would also be a sign of abandonment. Also avoided. And I feel like your person could do that too. Like they get mad. But I feel like that would be you. You would again get triggered, that they would not, like, you would get triggered by what they would do. And that was, again, whether it's their bad temper or whether that's, them having the wrong expectation, like you're perfect and going to fix it all and do it all because they didn't take the time to get to know you, that you would be like, again, just, I'm throwing in the towel because I just see problems everywhere. Where it really doesn't need to be that way. You need to be able to articulate and be able to ask for what you need instead of that. Because this person probably doesn't know how to communicate either. And by communicating, it's just asking for what you need. And that means emotionally, because the karmic cycle for you, Virgo, that I see is that you would wind up being in a relationship with someone that needs healing. It would be giving too much and they didn't take the time to really get to know you. And so emotionally, you would be overlooked again for your needs, which is that what they did before, even though that they were a bachelor, like they wanted to stay that playboy. It doesn't matter. Like it's in a different form. Is when we live karmic themes, it means that we live the same theme through a different type of experience. So that um, it could be, now this person really, really, truly loves you, but they can't show up. The last person didn't care about you, they didn't show up. And then it all stems from your parents that loved you, but they couldn't emotionally show up for you. So it's, again, doesn't matter where the trauma came from. It's not a blame game. We all inherit family karma. It also depends on what's going on collectively, like what's going on in the universe that makes our parents not be able to be as present. However, we form these behaviorisms and habits that are in alignment. And sometimes we even relive like our parents seem like we grow up like watching our parents live this really codependent relationship, and we can wind up in the same type of relationship because we've inherited those traumas. So understand flighty is a sense of almost like self-sabotage because you're not trying. Yeah, but there's the core belief of not really believing that you can have love. So we have to look and see why that's, again, that way. And scheming, again, when we don't feel like we can communicate, then what happens is we then try to, like, again, plot, scheme, like, because we want to get what we want, we want to make sure that our needs are met, and we don't want to do it through throwing in the towel or again scheming. That's the second chakra imbalance. So you too have a second chakra imbalance. So this is how we know that this is a real divine counterpart. This is a soulmate twin flame relationship because both parties have the same wound. um, and that's where they don't put in enough effort, and that could be because they don't want to express that much. They're protecting themselves. They don't want to be vulnerable. So this will play out as an intimacy issue, and an intimacy issue begins as trust issues because there's no communication. There's a lot that the two people are relying on intuition. They're relying on how they would act, but not really on the other person. You need to communicate because you don't think the same way. And so you're not going to react the same way. You're not going to act, you're not going to do the same things. So, and then scheming and plotting, that could be seen as manipulative. It could be seen as, again, you're scheming to get what you want, but you're still not asking that person what they want. So it's, again, it becomes a one-sided relationship. And that's when people feel like their needs aren't getting met emotionally. That's when problems begin. That's the beginning of a spiritual issue. So, but we see that can be easily healed if you both work on your communication skills by, again, asking for what you need and be able to do it in a way that's not judging and in a way that's not yelling and screaming and belittling the person, like, again, the cursing and the meanness, and not having a false expectation, being in the moment, being in the present, not being defensive if somebody, again, says something to you. They're not saying it in a way of, if your person, like, cares about you, they're not saying it in a way of attack. That you don't need to be defensive. You need to be open to criticism when you're in a soulmate twin flame relationship. There's a sense that both parties feel that they need to be perfect, and that's because they feel inadequate. So there's no such thing as perfection. We shoot for excellence in the relationship, and when there's a good flow, then it is a good relationship. It's a balanced relationship. So because you have to be truly who you are and embody that energy, and that's do what you do, what you love, and feeding that energy. And you have to allow your person to do that too. Otherwise, if you can't communicate and then the person doesn't act the way that you want them to, then your feelings get hurt, and then their feelings get hurt because you're judging them and the way that you came across, even though they might have not done what they should have done logically, but emotionally they were so up in their head about their worry that they weren't present, so they didn't pay attention, they didn't listen to their intuition. And when we're scheming to understand, we're not acting on our intuition, we're acting logically. So you're not coming from a place of love then, and they're not coming from a place of love. So we can see how that would cause problems, even though we have the best um, expectations. You would be like, I don't want to put the time in. This seems like too difficult. I want to give up. I want to give up. Or in order for this to work, I need to scheme. And it shouldn't be either one. Okay, and let's see what the karmic energy was. What are we supposed to learn from this relationship, which I obviously can see. But if there's any other messages I want to see. Again, I feel the chemistry between us. We need to trust that the energy we share will bring us back together again. See? They know that this is a real strong relationship. They want this. This is good, even though there are wounds there. So it's hard not to be judgmental when we think that things are so obvious. But if you love someone, remember, love is kind, love is patient, love is forgiving, love doesn't hold the score. We don't, again, it's unconditional. Even though you messed up, even though you might have not shown up for me, even though I know that you love me. And it doesn't mean that they don't need to learn, but it's the way that you say it. And if you say it and they forget, then maybe it's again to be funny about it, to change your approach, because yelling and screaming is not going to get you where you need to be. It's only going to create intimacy problems. And intimacy problems that start off as trust, end off as problems in the bedroom. And then it becomes the end of the relationship. I'm going to leave that there. Now, if you like this uh, video, let me know. I love it when you guys do. Leave me a like, comment. I don't remember what the word was of the day, so you'll have to rewind in order to hear. And just in case if I didn't, because I don't even remember if I gave a word of the day, you can also write the word light in your comment bar. So again, you'd have to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write the word like in your comment bar, and then we would decide light, that is not like, we would decide on the right day and time that worked for the best both of us, and correspond all back and forth on YouTube. So again, you'd write your comment in your comment bar. I would write winner, and then, like I said, you'd have to tell me when the day and times, because I may be busy, and we'll figure it out. Now all readings are done live stream, just so that you know. All right, I'll talk to you guys all soon. Bye bye.